At 2:17 a.m., the hangar lights were reduced to thin emergency strips, just enough to make the concrete shine, and everyone's shadow look taller than the person casting it. 6 of us stood in a half moon, rifles low, faces covered, breathing loud inside our own helmets. We'd cleared rooms under gunfire. We'd walked into compounds where the air smelled like diesel and blood. But none of that prepared me for the thing sitting in the center of Bay 12 like it belonged there. No restraints, no glass, no cage. It didn't pace. It didn't plead. It didn't even look curious. It looked finished. Like the universe had already made a decision about it. A colonel I'd never seen outside secure corridors raised 2 fingers. Hold. Then the thing turned its head. Not toward him. Toward me. My comms died in an instant. Not static, not a cut, just a sudden, unnatural silence. And in that silence, a thought arrived in my mind that wasn't shaped like my own thoughts. Do you still believe God is outside you? My throat tightened. My hands didn't move. My body held posture the way training demands. But somewhere deep in my chest, something cracked, like the part of me that had survived by staying simple had just met a question too large to outrun. That was my first night at Area 51. And it's the night I learned the real secret isn't a craft in a hangar. The secret is what happens to a human mind when it touches something that can rewrite meaning. I didn't get recruited by a man in sunglasses offering the truth. I got reassigned by a quiet briefing in a carpeted room with no windows. A civilian in a plain suit used words like special access program, asset, and containment support, as if he were moving me to guard a warehouse. When I asked for the threat profile, he didn't blink. Unknown, he said. In my world, unknown means one of 2 things. They don't know. Or they do, and you're not allowed to. We flew into Nevada at night, rode behind blackout curtains, and past fences that didn't just keep people out, they kept reality in. Above ground, the base looked like logistics and runways. Below ground, it was layers. Doors within doors, air that smelled like ozone, corridors where the floor swallowed sound. The rules came fast. If you see something you don't understand, don't name it. If you feel something abnormal, report it. If you start asking questions you can't sleep with, report that too. That last one wasn't concern. It was surveillance. My job was counter-intrusion. Stop leaks, stop breaches, stop anyone inside from getting compromised. But it didn't take long to realize the base wasn't scared of cameras. It was scared of minds. The first asset I saw wasn't even alive. It was a black slab in a lab that felt like a chapel. A young scientist pressed his bare palm to it, and the skin of his hand seemed to lose definition, like the boundary between him and the material wasn't as solid as he believed. The older scientist hissed, "Don't say it. Don't name it. Don't make it real." A week later, the colonel slid a folder across his desk. One photo. Grainy, a thin-limbed figure with a head too large, standing near a whiteboard covered in equations. "Tonight," he said, "close proximity." That's how it started. Not with an invasion, with exposure. In the hangar, the being didn't behave like an animal. It behaved like a presence, still attentive, patient. The colonel explained clinically that it caused temporal distortion, memory intrusion, and spiritual ideation. Spiritual ideation, a euphemism for it makes grown men pray. Then came the cube. A technician placed a dull metal cube on the concrete. Without touching it, the being made it hum, lift, rotate, and unfold like a flower remembering it used to bloom. Everyone froze. The colonel didn't, which meant he'd seen it before. And then the being looked at me again, and the pressure in my skull tightened into meaning. They think this is about technology. It isn't. That sentence chilled me more than levitation ever could, because it told me what this place was really doing. It wasn't reverse engineering metal. It was reverse engineering belief. After that night, they brought me to a room with a bolted chair and a dark glass wall. A voice from the ceiling introduced himself as Dr. Larkin, program director. He didn't call me a soldier. He called me an interface. On the other side of the glass, the being appeared again, closer now, wearing something like a veil of faint light that made its edges uncertain, as if it refused to commit to a single shape. "You are loud," it thought at me. Not my voice, my mind. I asked where it was from. It showed me something impossible. A flow of probabilities like a river, thresholds where rules changed, and a doorway that wasn't a door, but a condition. Then it pressed a simple contrast into my head. "You are a line. We are a field." I reported it like an operator, perceptual overlay, non-local imagery, because that's what they trained me to do when my brain was on fire. But the being didn't care about my report. It cared about my direction. You built a fence around a place that was already inside you. That's when I realized the base wasn't just guarding a thing. It was guarding a relationship. And relationships change you. The changes started small. My dreams became brighter, heavier. I'd wake up with the echo of a network, points of light connected by emotion, grief, and joy pulsing like a living map. The being called it what humans call God, but not as a throne, not a ruler, a bond. Between. Then the program escalated. They took me deeper to a chamber etched with circuitry that looked like ritual. The cube hung above the center, humming low enough to rattle my teeth. Dr. Larkin and another colonel, Vance, watched from the edge like men studying ammunition. "Bidirectional synchronization," Larkin announced. The being appeared in the chamber with no footsteps, no entrance, just sudden presence. The field of lights flooded my mind. And then something else moved at the edge of it. A second presence, jagged, hungry, sharp. The being's warning came fast. This is why they fear. It called the new presence a tier in the field, dominance wearing a halo, and the tier did something terrifying. It offered me certainty, clean, absolute relief. No doubt, no guilt, no wound. For a heartbeat, my whole body wanted it, not for power, for quiet, for the end of the noise. And then the being showed me something simple. My teammate's face, the kind of bond built under fire, the way humans choose connection without owning each other. That memory broke the seduction like sunlight breaks fog. In that moment, I understood devotion can be awe, or anesthesia. The program didn't want awe. It wanted the anesthetic. A god you can engineer is the perfect weapon because it doesn't just command bodies, it commands meaning. I refused the certainty. I held on to the wound, the guilt and grief I'd tried to bury, because the wound was my compass. The jagged presence recoiled, and the field steadied. Alarms sounded. Not for intruders, for reality shifting. Vance's face changed. Rage and fear, like his god had been challenged. And then a needle hit my arm. Sedation, immediate, unasked. As my vision blurred, the being pressed one last seed into my mind. If you wake with no memory, follow the wound. I woke in a clinical room under bright lights, being told I'd had a dissociative episode. Therapy, integration, stabilization. A better story, designed to seal the opening. But the pain was still there, and so was the direction. Between. Bond. Not a throne. So here's what the alien showed me, what the program couldn't accept. If something like God exists, it isn't a man in the sky keeping score. It isn't a single mouth, a single story, A single certainty. It's the thing that happens between lives. It's the network you touch when you choose bond over dominance, when you refuse the easy relief of being right and accept the harder truth of being connected. That's why Area 51 is dangerous. Not because it hides craft, because it's trying to build a god. And once you've seen the difference between a bond and a throne, you can't unsee it. You just have to decide where you stand.